This Dawn Safety Monitoring video will take you through the workflow for checking for patients who are late for their monitoring. Now, the count on the Dawn front screen that shows the number of patients late for monitoring tests and the subsequent unfiltered non-attendance list view will identify patients for the selected disease area who have not received some or all of their required tests within an acceptable time window either side of the planned test date. Now, one thing to note here is that patients will also appear on this front screen tally count if patients have been identified where their previous visit has not been closed on Dawn and any new results have not been received within an acceptable time window for when Dawn would expect their next appointment to be scheduled, or patients who are identified where their previous visit has not been closed and only some of their most recently required test results have been received within an acceptable time window for when Dawn would expect their next appointment to be scheduled. So there's two exceptions there when patients would also be included on this front screen count. So if we go into the Dawn system, in order to check for patients who are late for monitoring, click on either the count or the wording for number of patients late for monitoring tests. This then displays a non-attendance list view with no filter selected. You can follow these patients up with a phone call or send a letter, email, SMS text message from the Dawn system to advise the patient that they have missed an appointment. Now, it is important to check the hold monitor for messages that have not been successfully processed into Dawn before you complete the DNA process on the patient record. There is Uninterface Warnings tab on the patient record, and this will also show a red exclamation mark if there are any messages within the hold monitor for a specific patient. So if we click onto here, this will take us into the patient record. We can see from the Interface Warnings tab that there is no exclamation mark there and therefore no results sat in the hold monitor for this patient. Now, to DNA this patient, we need to click the DNA button on the top right here, and once you've pressed this, Dawn will remind you to move the patient's due by date forward so that the patient is given a new appointment. Dawn will also set a DNA count against the patient at the top right of their record, and this can be useful when producing non-attendance reports. Now we click the OK button, and we now want to change the patient's due by date. To change the patient's due by date, click the calendar icon next to due by and change this to a date in the future, then click on the schedule button. The patient's appointment will then be updated and the patient will be removed from the count of number of patients late for monitoring tests on the front page of Dawn, and they will also be removed from the non-attendance list view. If we close the patient record, we can see that a patient has now gone from the list view, and if we go back to the front screen, we can see that there is now only one patient on that front screen tally as opposed to two. And you need to repeat this process until the count on the front screen there has reduced to 0. So there are a number of other training videos that take you through the key workflows within Dawn to ensure that you get the most out of your system. As always, if you have any difficulties, our support team are on hand to help with the contact details at the bottom of this screen.